In the time of Jesus, when pilgrims from Galilee came to Jerusalem to pray in the temple, they came a number of ways. Some came westward through the Samaritan country. Many came down the Jordan Valley, a journey of about 90 miles from Nazareth. And when they reached the city of Jericho, they turned eastward for the final 15 miles. It was a steep, winding road that ascended 3,500 feet to the city of Jerusalem. It was a zigzagging road up the desert mountains, hard road to climb, probably the hardest part of the journey. In the Bible, the journey to Jerusalem, especially the last part up that desert road, was a symbol of the journey to God that we all make. We're pilgrims on our way to meet God, and the journey's not always easy. It can be hard. So that's why John the Baptist went into the desert, near that steep, winding road. He preached there. John's father, Zechariah, priest in the temple in Jerusalem, said at his birth, "You, my child, shall be called a prophet of the Most High, for you'll go before the Lord to prepare his way." Now, we can't be sure the exact place where John went to prepare the way of the Lord, but most likely it was near the River Jordan, near Jericho. That's where weary pilgrims faced the last part of that journey up the way to Jerusalem. So John invited them into the refreshing waters of the river to pray and to be strengthened for the last part of their journey. They're being strengthened by the sign of water and the word of the Lord. In today's gospel, John speaks to ordinary people, soldiers and tax collectors among them. He speaks simply but eloquently about what they should do to live. It's God's will that they live well, that they live according to what God wants them to do. And if they did that, God would welcome them into his presence. Now, certainly, John was influenced by the prophet Isaiah, whom we also listen to in Advent. Isaiah also knew that road that was going up to Jerusalem, it was a hard road. But God would make sure that people would make it on that road. God would lead the blind man on that road, the deaf, the lame, the ones that are too weak or too small. God would help the lost sheep to make that journey. So soldiers and tax collectors would make that journey. The weakest of humanity would make that journey by God's mercy. Now, this is a season where we're reminded that we're all on that journey too, the journey of life. We're on that way to experience the presence of God. And if the road seems too steep, if the road seems too hard, listen to what we hear from John and Isaiah. God in his mercy will be with us as we go. Prepare the way of the Lord. Now, that message is not just directed to us as individuals either. It's more than that. The world we know is making a journey to God. Right now, the world is making its journey to God, and it needs God's mercy. In his encyclical Laudato Si, the care of our common home of creation, Pope Francis says that for almost 200 years since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the time of the Enlightenment, our world has been convinced of its unlimited progress, of the unlimited scope of human power, unlimited human progress. We can do anything. But there are signs in our world now, ominous signs, that our world is weak and blind and lame. There's increasing skepticism, increasing fear, and increasing optimism for violence. We're worried about the way ahead. We're worried about the future. We have to open the door of our minds in this season of God's mercy to know that this is God's world, the world he created and loves. Yes, the journey isn't going to be easy. It's a winding, wearying road where the end isn't in sight. We don't have all the answers. But we have the one most important answer. God is with us. He's with our world, weak, blind, lame as it is. God is our hope, the hope of us all.